I think the first thing is to figure out what to do. When you start with a blank sheet of paper, you're as confused as to what to do, in as much as to how to do it. So that's the first part of the challenge. I think the second thing is that once I decided that I'll do something, then to be able to draw a mental picture of the same thing in my mind and then try and see how does it translate down on a sheet of paper. And in that sense of the word, every stroke has got a certain meaning, has got a certain requirement to be there, plus it's also got a certain constraint in terms of how large can it be. This is actually my first attempt at painting. So in some senses, what I was doing here was actually try different shapes. And I prefer to start with flowers because flowers is the most forgiving in terms of mistake. When you paint a flower, it doesn't matter because the petals, even if they are slightly distorted in terms of shape, still can absorb some of the mistakes. Whereas when you draw geometrical forms, you can't afford to make those mistakes. So that's why I first started with flowers. What I decided to do was I thought I'd draw a little bit of the earth below and try some amount of texturing on the earth just to get a sense of how it can actually texture. I wasn't so sure how one paint will actually be on top of another paint, whether it will actually mix with the other one or not. And then there are some colors here which actually can overpower other colors. So a black, for example, can actually run over another color, whereas you can't get too many of the lighter colors or the pastels to run over black. So there are some things I think I'm just kind of learning with the paints out here. Then different brushes, and to see what kind of brushes I could use for what kind of strokes. So I think all of that learning between different kinds of brushes, different kinds of paints was done in this page. So that's the first one I tried, and this is the learning sheet. So learning sheet also I tried different kinds of things. But as you can see here, there is a lot of interest in geometric shapes. And a lot of this is about actually creating contrast in geometric shape. So here I've taken quadrants within a circle and then I've enclosed that within a square. Here I've taken a series of rectangles, one rectangle collapsing into the other, but ended it up with a circle. The time I spent here on painting allowed me to be able to run dry. Since I have a time constraint, I just sat here and dabbled. Once you get used to something like this, then I'm certain it's not a chore. You're just feeling like you want to do things, and there is a sense of satisfaction of the fact that you're doing something original and you've done it, and then you can look back and say, hey, I've done this thing. I never thought I was capable of doing something like this. So I guess it's only a question of people getting pushed. And once you get pushed, you kind of do things which you didn't know that you were capable of. And that way, I guess it's a huge learning experience.